What's good? What's good? We are back. Another episode of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. So I'm about to bring on a special guest. She's currently fighting in the world of bare knuckle fighting for the BKFC. She's 3-0. It is said she has a bully style where she will walk through her opponents' best punches and back them up on the ropes and meet them in the middle of the clinch. She will be fighting BKFC on the Zone, Hollywood, Florida, at the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe this Saturday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And she will be fighting for the women's featherweight belt, if I'm not mistaken. Let's bring on the one and only Christine Vicens.
Hey
Christine,
Paul,
how
how
you
are you?
doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you taking time out to do this.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So I like to, before I get into the fights, I like to just ask some questions just so people can get to know you. What were you doing before you got into bare knuckle fighting?
Honestly, I was just training. It's been almost 20 years now training in mixed martial arts. Started with striking, kickboxing, then did some boxing. I'm a Golden Glove champ back in 2009. Then I started MMA, and it's always just been hobby. I did do my last amateur fight prior to BKFC was in 2019, right after having
Okay.
my kids were old enough, and I went back to that. But otherwise, working, you know, I had my taking care of my family and training just for myself.
Now, what does your fight name mean in English? La
La
Abusadora. Did I say it right?
abusadora. La abusadora, that translates to the abuser.
That's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
I had a teammate give me that name once. We were in a sparring session. He didn't expect it, but I beat him up, and he said me. He told me I was an abusadora. No, actually, my old coach. Oh, he wasn't a teammate. He was a coach.
So, what do you feel like is your biggest strength as a bare knuckle fighter?
My biggest strength as a bare knuckle fighter is, I guess, my resilience and my pressure. And this, I think it translated perfectly for me. Because I do put a lot of pressure on when I fight. I'm aggressive, and I really
Yep.
just I like to go forward all the time, and it worked out beautifully in the sport.
Now, what's something about you as a fighter that other fighters might underestimate when they get in the ring with you?
I think that just because, well, we go back to, like, like for us in the video, I'm a mother and I'm a wife. People underestimate me because they think that perhaps it's that I'm too busy or something. I mean, the truth is that I think that's what should be most feared. The fact that
Mhm.
I have so many other things going on in my life. I don't need to fight. I want to fight. I love fighting. I have a career. I have my kids. I have my family, and despite all that, I still make time for this because it's important to me and because I know what I want and I'm getting after it. So that's what's to fear, the fact that I can do it all.
And I'm definitely got a question further down the line that I'm gonna ask you about that video that Christine put out and
Okay.
whatnot. So your first fight was against Jade Masan Wong. And as soon as the bell rung, I mean, you just went at her, man. Um, like, why were you so ready for your first fight?
I guess part of it was like, it was my first of all, it was my first professional fight. It was my first bare knuckle fight. Honestly, I had never been
Okay.
hit bare knuckle prior to that. I had never even been in a street fight. All my training has been in a gym setting, in a very technical setting. As far as the sport, I've never been someone to, like, look for fights on the street. So there were a lot of factors that day. Just excitement of being out there, being under the lights. I guess I couldn't contain myself, and that is my pressure my style by nature. Like I said, I like to always move forward. I put a lot of pressure, volume, speed. That's how I fight best. But yeah, that first fight, like, there was just a lot of excitement to come along with it.
Yeah, I think and Jad probably wasn't expecting that, especially being your first fight. Because I see some of these guys in their first fights, they're just not ready, you know.
I know. That's why after that I was like, I was made for this. This is the sport that I needed to be in from the beginning. I felt like, it all played out well. My technique was perfect for this.
Now, in that fight, did you game plan for that much inside clinching, or did the fight just kinda go that way?
I think it just went that way. I do practice a lot of clinch. I do come from an MMA background. It's what I train. So I do practice my clinch. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. And I do believe that in that fight, after Jod got hit and she started bleeding, I think she was trying to clinch up a lot with me just to not continue getting hit. So that's where it ended up.
Now, was that a punch that hit her, or like, because I think Chris Lytle, kinda assumed it was a headbutt, and I watched it back like 3 or 4 times today. I mean, I really couldn't tell.
No, he said that. So I when I rewatched, he did say at the moment when it happened, he thought it was a headbutt, but when they
Yeah,
slowed it down and they replayed, it was clearly a jab. It was the first, I
okay.
believe it was the first jab that I threw after that, after the bell that hit her right in the middle of the forehead.
Yeah, she was definitely split up, and I could tell she looked a little upset. I think she assumed it was a headbutt too by her reaction, but she was definitely, like, split up all down her face. Now, I don't know if you keep up with the rankings at all,
I
but there's a site called Bare Knuckle Nation, and I seen they had some pound for pound rankings in the females, and they had Masan Wong on there, but they didn't have you. Do you feel like that's kind of an insult being that you beat her already?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get insulted by these things, but I do question how these rankings work. I guess it's because I had some inactivity
Mhm.
um, after my fight with Jocelyn Leibarger because I had like an injury. I had my fingers injured. I wasn't active, and then we had the Sundance fight that got canceled. So maybe that's where Jod had more activity, and then she came above me. But I don't know how it works. It does kind of I question that. Not gonna lie, but I think after December 21st, things will kind of fall into place, and everyone will see.
Yeah, I personally thought it was ridiculous, myself. Now, you Jocelyn Lybarger, who fought in the UFC, I mean, she seemed like a pretty tough fight for you. That was your second match. Now, you wasted no time when the bell rang on that one too. I mean, are you just always looking to set the tone early out the gate?
Yeah, I do. I wanna set the tone. I want everyone to know that they're not gonna bully me around. So typically that's why I'm first at it.
And now the second round, you seemed a little less aggressive. Were you just a little exhausted from exerting so much energy because you dominated that whole first round?
With Liebarger,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps I don't recall slowing down. I know the last round I definitely slowed down because I already knew my coaches were communicating with me. They said, "Look, you won all the rounds. Take it easy. Let's not risk anything. You got it from here." So that's where I really like slowed it down and I said, "I'm not gonna jump in anymore. Like it wasn't worth it to risk anything else. I knew I had that fight."
I mean, were you surprised she lasted all 5 rounds? I mean, because you dominated every round pretty much.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, hats off to her. She was a tough cookie. I really was trying to like knock her out and finish this fast. But she was strong, and I don't think anyone knew, or perhaps, but she weighed in 5 pounds heavier for that weigh-in.
Okay.
So, I was at a disadvantage in that aspect as well. Um, but yeah, I was trying to to finish that, and she just wouldn't go down. So props to her. She took all those 5 rounds. It was a good fight.
So, I interviewed the person you fought last, Melanie Shaw, and before I
Mhm.
interviewed her, she said there was controversy, I guess because after the match, I guess she filed a challenge to the ruling, um, trying to say that you headbutted her a lot. What's your reaction or response to that?
I saw that she was like making a big deal. I didn't headbutt her. She says that I was striking her in the back of the head, and I looked at the videos. Like, I mean, we're fighting bare knuckle, and she comes forward a lot. She charges a lot, as
Yeah,
do I. So you have these collisions, and then we're clinching, and obviously the rules of BKFC tell you punch as you're clinching. You got to keep an active
yeah.
clinch. You got to keep fighting. That's what I do. I fight. I'm there to fight. If I'm clinching, I'm going to be striking. I am not purposely hitting the back of the head. I know the rules. If somebody turns their head and shoves their head into me and I'm throwing a punch at the same time, unfortunately, that's what happens. Um, I just, whatever, I brushed that off because I know that at no point it was my intention to hit the back of the head. If a punch or two slipped, my bad. She's done it too. Every
Yeah.
fighter, look back at every single BKFC fight, and if you have any clinching, you're gonna see punches that might slip, that might not be where they're supposed to. Things happen. It wasn't on purpose.
And I'm glad you clarified that. I didn't mean to say head, but I meant to say hit her in the back of the head. Now, do you think like the clinch? I mean, you're so aggressive. It seems like somebody might accidentally get hit at least once in the back of the head. I mean, with these clinches in any fight, I
Yeah,
would think it could be that way.
it's happened to me. Yeah, I've been hit in the back of the head by accident. I know these girls aren't targeting the back of my head. I would hope not,
Yeah.
but it happens. It's which is the fight game.
Now we're gonna get to this Christine Ferreira. Do you feel like in female matches they get a little bit more personal?
Well, I guess it depends on the fighter. I honestly like don't take any of these fights personal. I know that we're all here. We have the same goals. We want to fight. We're doing it for women's sports in general. I know that we're all advocates, big advocates for females fighting, and just being in general for any sport. For moving up. But I don't take any of these fights personal. I respect that every fighter out there. You're willing to put it all on the line and go into that ring and step into to do this sport. Like it's a big deal, and props off to everyone that does it. It's like I said, it's not personal. We have to obviously have a certain mentality against that person, that the moment we step into that ring, they become your enemy because we're trying to take each other's heads off. But the
Exactly.
truth is, at the end of the day, there's no animosity or hard feelings. I know it's all to sell the fight. I know it's all to hype us up, I guess, for the event.
So you're fighting Christine for the women's flyweight championship. I mean, she's beat Beck Rollins twice, Britain Hart twice. She made Taylor Starlin quit. Ja Masan Wong looked like she didn't even want the belt when she fought her. Why will it be different for you?
Man, I feel honestly, I just feel like it's my time and I'm so ready for this. And if there's one thing, I have a lot of faith. And if there's one thing that the Lord tells us in the Bible is do not fear. I have no fear. And I know that this is when God puts this passion in my heart for this sport is because there's a purpose. And I honestly I've been training 19 years now, almost 20 years training, and I feel like everything is just for this one day, December 21st, to prepare me for this event because I am going to be champion. I turn 40 next year in April, and this to me is just like the highlight of everything. Like my kids have asked me for this belt. They want to see it. There's so much like purpose in me right now, and I'm just ready. I feel like no one else has the resilience, has the motive, has the discipline. I want this so bad. Like I said, I'm sacrificing so much to make this happen. I'm training my butt off and it's my time. I feel it. I know it. That's why it's going to be me.
So after watching the highlights of your matches yesterday and the day before, I said to myself, hey, this is probably gonna be Christine's toughest opponent. And other people are echoing that as well. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think I'm underestimated and I definitely will be her toughest opponent. I've got a lot that I'm bringing into that ring on Saturday.
So I saw the post on Jessica the Black Widow Borgia's Facebook page, and she was actually defending you because she didn't really like that she called out about you being a mom. And Borgia also told me to tell you that she's rooting for you. And
Oh,
so the video, I just want to go over the exact words she said in part of it. She said, "You're a mom, you serve your husband dinner and shit, and you can't hit harder than her." I mean, what would you say to that?
yeah, I would say that she's got it all twisted because being a mom, being a wife, being an entrepreneur, and being a fighter, and that is all the reason why I should be feared on Saturday. Man, it's bigger than me. When I like I said, I'm doing this for my kids, I'm doing it for my family, I'm doing it for my God. Like there is just something so much bigger than me. I'm not doing this for the fame, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because, like I said, it's a purpose that I have. It's a passion that I have, and I promised my kids I was going to bring home that belt. So there's no stopping me. The fact that I'm a mom, man, you have no idea what moms have to put up with, the kind of superpowers that we have on a daily basis. So that to me, honestly, like, I thought it was funny, and it only got me more of a following, because if, hey man, we're in the women's division of the sport, like, women, we are mothers, we are wives, this is what we do.
Now, Saturday, are you going to be looking to set the tone early on this one? Or are you going to try to kind of step back for a second and maybe feel her out?
I'm prepared for both. I kind of go, I'll go with it as we get there after the bell rings. Knowing myself, I'm gonna want to set the tone. I don't want her to try to bully me around. I like to be the bully in the ring. So, like I said, I'm prepared for both, but I'm not gonna let her bully me.
Now, what's the reaction of like people when you tell them you're a bare knuckle fighter?
Yeah, they don't believe me. I first, I mean, the comment that 98% of the time is, "Oh my God, your husband must be scared of you. Your husband must must behave pretty well." That's like all the time people are saying that. But yeah, a lot of the times they don't believe me. I kind of have always kept it like hush, but even like just now, some of my clients have started to find out, and they're like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like, we talk to you on the phone every day. We see you at the jobs, and you're a fighter." But it's cool. I love it. I love the fact that nobody expects it. Like I said, that I get underestimated a lot of the time. um I guess it's part of my character and my persona. That's we don't have to be tough and like look tough. We don't have to try to scare people away and act like we're all badass. Like, we can be humble, we can be mothers, we can be ladylike, and we can still whoop some butt.
Now, I noticed with a lot of the females, they seem to be marketed like sexually as well. Do you embrace that or do you kind of try to stay away from that?
No, I do try to stay away from that. Like, to each its own. I No judgment. I respect everyone for whatever decision they have. Every person's convictions are different. But
Mhm.
me, I'm trying to just I have a message that I want to put out there, and like I said, that you could be a mother, you could be a wife, you could be ladylike, you could be humble. Like I said, I'm a Christian. I just have these my values that give me these personal convictions that I do not want to be sexualized. I obviously, there people have reached out and like have wanted to put me on certain platforms and stuff, and I just, out of respect for my husband, for myself, I don't want to do that.
Do you think part of the reason why Christine Faria is kind of underestimating you, throwing the mom thing out there, you think she kind of feels like she's dedicated more to the sport and that you're not as dedicated because you have other responsibilities that she probably doesn't have?
Maybe, I don't think I mean, I don't know if she thinks I'm not dedicated to the sport. I know that
Yeah,
she's very experienced. She's a great fighter,
yeah.
like I've said before, she's built BKFC women's division. She's, all due respect to her, but I'm not doing any less. If any, I'm always trying to do more. So I'm still training my butt off. I'm still up every morning, late, going to bed late at night, training. I'm doing everything I got to do. There is nothing more I can possibly do to prepare for this fight, and that's a confidence that I have. Maybe she doesn't know it, maybe she doesn't believe it, but I'm confident. Like, I know I've done and dedicated everything I need to.
Now I've heard some of the fighters I interview say they don't really watch the events too much, and unless they're actually in it. Do you watch all the BKFC events as much as you can, or
I don't watch all of them, but yes, I try to watch like any of the ones that are that if it's females fights, I'm always watching all the female fights, or someone who's a friend, or someone who I really, like, I like or dislike, I'll try to watch your fights, yeah, as most as
i-
possible.
is there any fights on this coming up Saturday besides yours that you might be interested in seeing the outcome of?
Man, my teammate, the dream killer, Edgar Plazaola, I can't wait to see him
Oh,
dominate. Yeah.
That's your
uh,
teammate? I didn't know that. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
really, really
yeah,
nice guy. I
he's my coach actually. Now he's in camp obviously, but when he's not in camp, he's my coach. He's my teammate. He's my friend. We went to church. We go to church together. Our kids are in
yeah.
the same class. He's like a brother to me. Besides that, man, we have a lot of Cubans representing on this card. We got El Gallo.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Perdomo?
Zambo. Yeah, I'm super excited for all the Latinos and the Cubans that are on this card. So it's a great fight, a
Do
great
you
event.
think Cubans seem to be like taking over the bare knuckle world? I mean, there's like you said, there's a lot of them just on this one card.
Yeah, I think like boxers. Boxing in Cuba is huge. Like, one of my boxing coach is a Cuban Hall of Famer, Jorge Rubio. Like, and I'm training with Cubans all the time at the boxing ring. It's a good sport. I guess I don't know. I don't know exactly why it was such a dominant sport in Cuba, but we're fighters, man. Maybe that's it. With society in Cuba the way it is, it's just that fight, that dog inside of us that we're able to dominate in boxing and bare knuckle even more.
Now, let me ask you about Perdomo. Do you think anybody in bare knuckle can beat this guy?
Man, I don't know. He's like, I don't know. He's a monster, man. He's
Yes.
finishing off like, first round. Like he looks like he's worked hard, like he's working hard and he's strong. I don't know. I don't know who can beat him. I think he's gonna get another win on Saturday.
I do too. I think they might need to give him some tougher opponents because he's just making it look so, so easy out there. Now,
Yeah.
what will winning this belt mean for you?
For me, well, so let me tell you, after my first fight with Jod, my kids were too young at that time to go to the fights. Now
Mhm.
they go to the fights. So the next day I was banged up, I got hit, I was bruised. My kids come to bed and they're like, "Mom, what happened to you?" I was like, "I'm like Quasimodo," was trying to make fun of it. But my little one was like, "Mommy, where's your belt?" Like he wanted to see a medal, a belt, but he kept saying like, "Where's your belt?" And I was like, I don't have a belt, baby. But it just like triggered something inside of me that I was like, I'm very goal oriented. So the second he said that, like the belt, that was like in my head, that was at the top of my list. I knew that I had to bring this home. And like I said, I feel like with every step, honestly, just building up in this journey of BKFC, like there's just been more confirmation from God that this is where He wants me to be and that this is my purpose. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years with kind of like
Man.
no end in sight, like nothing to say, like, oh, I'm going to be UFC. Like that was never, it was always like a hobby. It was just something I did for fun. But now I see exactly what I was made for. And that to me is like when I bring home that belt, it's just gonna be so satisfying because I'll know exactly that like this was my calling. This is what I was supposed to be doing. I'm gonna bring home the belt to my kids. I'm gonna bring it home to my family, to my manager, to my gym. It's just gonna be so rewarding for me. I can't wait.
Now, you know, I've watched a lot of sports in my life. Paid attention to some boxing, MMA. Do you feel like BKFC or bare knuckle in general is like one of those sports where when you get this kind of opportunity, you really got to seize it because it's going to be a hard journey back to getting that opportunity again?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, this is a huge opportunity, which I'm like super grateful for. Because I am young in the sport. I'm 3 fights in. Would have been four, with Sundance, but um, I feel like I've grown really quickly. But I think at the same time that I deserve it, that I've worked for it, that it's exactly where I need to be. I am gonna seize this opportunity. I see that right now there's not a whole lot of women in the division. It's not
Yeah,
ex-
that could
ex-
benefit you. Yeah.
yeah, it's not extremely busy, but it's blowing up and they are signing people left and right. And I think 2025 is going to be a huge year for BKFC and the competition's only going to get harder. So
Yeah.
this is perfect time, I think, for me to grab this belt, and be part of the continued growth and what's to come now in 2025 and onward.
Yeah, because to me, it seems like when the guys get a shot, and they lose, that's probably gonna be the only shot they ever get because there's just so many people in those weight classes and divisions. Like my guy Ryan Reber who lost to another Cuban, Alberto Blas.
Oh yeah,
He's a monster too. It's like I don't see Reber getting that title shot anytime soon, man. And I just think it's like you really gonna have to seize that moment as soon as you get it. But like you said, the females being there, there's a lot less. You still might get an opportunity a lot quicker, I think, than the dudes. But the more y'all get these females in, that's just gonna diminish and diminish, I would think.
yeah, I agree.
Now you're 40, but bare knuckles seem to be like a second career for a lot of people. You got Austin Trout, goes from boxing, now he gets into bare knuckle. I think Jimmy Rivera was from UFC. Dave Redneck Madell, who's my favorite fighter, used to fight MMA. Perry. How many years do you think you have in this sport?
All right. Well, I'm 39. I'm not 40 yet, but I will be.
Okay, my bad.
No, you're good. So funny story. Well, I think I was preparing for an MMA fight, which I never got a few years back, because the girls kept dropping out of fights for some reason. And Baboon Luis Palomino, he was training at our gym that day, and he was like, "Man, Christy, I had known him for a little bit, and I guess he had seen me training, and he's like, Christy, you would be so good at bare knuckle, like you should do this." And he planted that seed really before I had even considered fighting bare knuckle. And the fact that he was older, I think he's in his 40s. Ferreira's in her
Yeah,
40s.
yeah,
This is a sport that first of all, I feel better than ever. I feel like I have, physically I'm strong, but mentally, like I've grown so much and I'm exactly where I need to be. And I have so much more in me. Like I feel I'm at the peak right now. So I can see myself going on for like another 3, 4 years. I mean, God willing, I feel healthy and I'm good. I'm gonna keep going until I can.
So, Luis Palomino, he got you into bare knuckle. Did he kind of help you get into it once you decided to go into it?
No, after that, like I said, he mentioned it to me. He planted the seed, and I was like, man, you know what? Even his wife was like, man, you fight. But after that, it was my managers that really like put everything into place and got me the contacts that we needed, and they did everything. But it's something that I had never considered until Baboon spoke to me, and he's like, look, it's like it's not like MMA. MMA is rough on the body. You're like, I mean, up and
Yeah.
down and wrestling and shooting, and it's hardcore. Bare knuckle, it's still tough. Obviously, we're fighting bare knuckle, but it's a lot easier, I guess, like on the joints. And as you get older, it's a lot more manageable. Shorter rounds. We got 2 minutes rounds versus 5 minute rounds, also. So yeah, he definitely helped to plant that seed and get me interested in the sport.
Did you have to go through any tryouts or anything of that nature?
No, at that I did not. I did not. I My managers, they did a really good job, and with my credentials and my background, they were able to get me in directly into that fight.
And I'm thinking probably with a lot less females doing bare knuckle, they probably don't have to go through the prospect series or the tryouts because I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a short demand on women that want to do bare knuckle compared to the guys out here.
Yeah. I think so.
Now, do you think the women might be still a little bit underrepresented in bare knuckle fighting?
Well, I think they do a good job. I think BKFC does a good job at promoting the women. But the truth is that the division is just growing. We still have a lot more to go as far as getting more women involved in the sport. But I think they're doing a really good job at trying to boost and promote and get more women into the sport. It's just up to us women to step up.
Yeah, because I noticed with BYB, their last event, they actually had two female fights, which I thought like BKFC could probably actually have like a featherweight and a strawweight match in a one event too. I would think.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be great to get more females on the card.
All right, so what this Saturday? What's going to be the results? Are you? I mean, do you think it's going to go 5 rounds, or are you going to finish it before that?
Well, I'd love to finish her before that. I'm prepared for both. I do see some, I think I could finish her in like second or third round. But again, she's a tough cookie. I'm not gonna underestimate her, and if she can hang on and we'll go 5 rounds, I'm ready for that. I mean, if there's one thing I've got, it's my endurance, and I think I'm definitely gonna be able to hang on like 5 rounds. That's a piece of cake.
I got another question before we let you go and do the shout outs. Do you think that when people get into bare knuckle fighting, they might underestimate how important like the cardio is?
Yeah, well, I think in any martial art, like, man, you have to have cardio. Like, that it's there's a lot involved. Even if we could train all day, but once you get the excitement and the adrenaline and the lights and the emotions, like all of that plays on you also, and it's tiring. It's no matter what, you're gonna feel tired with all of that adrenaline. So cardio is important. Yeah, strength is important, technique is super important, but at the end of the day, it's your heart that gets you through the final rounds of the fight, and cardio and just having the right mentality.
And actually, I just thought about one more question. Are you looking to try to get any of these fights overseas as well?
Overseas, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, they sound really exciting. I see there's a lot of like a lot of big events coming down the line in Italy and whatnot. As long as I can make it work with my family, I have my kids and my business here, and if I can make it work, then yeah, that'd be pretty cool to fight overseas.
That's what's up. Well, you're a friend of the show now. Anything you post or do, I'ma definitely support it. I don't really try to take sides in these matches because I started realizing I interview so many different people and then they end up fighting each other. I was like, I really can't have a dog in this fight. I can't really pick sides and whatnot. But before you go, does anybody you like to shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, my family, they're the ones that make this happen. Honestly, if it wasn't for them being supportive, I got my manager, El Toro Loco MMA and the Churrasqueria Freestyle Fighting Academy, my gym, Jorge Rubio's my boxing coach, Accurate Insurance are a big sponsor for me, and just to all my fans out there, thank you for the support. And of
I
course, all my
appreciate you.
glory goes, I don't want to say this, last but not least, all my glory goes to God. Like, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be here without the strength that He gives me. It's the only way I can do it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out. As soon as I get off here, I'm gonna start clipping up some clips so we can start promoting you before this fight. And I'm definitely can't wait to see this fight. I definitely think you're gonna be her toughest opponent yet, and I'm really excited, man. And I think right now, man, you probably are my second favorite female fighter in bare knuckle behind Jessica Borgia.
Oh, awesome. And she's been super supportive. I've seen it online. So thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you. I'm going to do this for the moms, for all the moms that work so hard that, we're out here working our butts off. Like, I'm not going to let you down. And thank you,
Yeah,
Paul. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
she's a mother. Yeah, anytime, and she's a mother too. So she definitely took some offense to what Christine said about you being a mom. She thought that wasn't too cool. I thought it was kind of a low jab myself, but hopefully you can get some payback this Saturday.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
All
enjoy the
right.
rest of your day.
Thank you, Paul. God bless. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it. Christine Vicens will be fighting this Saturday, BKFC on the Zone, Hollywood, Florida, the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe against Christine Faria, who is the women's featherweight champion. And I think Christine would definitely be her toughest opponent. I was watching all her highlights the other day, and I could see why they say she's like a bully in the ring. I mean, soon as the bell rings, she's attacking and she stays on the attack. And I haven't seen her really back down from anybody. And she doesn't look like she's going to quit like some of these fighters I've seen quit. And I ain't going to call them out by names, but y'all know who y'all are. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Another episode of the Paul Pickett Podcast. Peace. And I'm out.